Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely Stream Deck. For more information about the Stream Deck, the link is in the description below.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing iRacing GTE League Season 10, Round number 5, here at Catalunya. My name is King Kodiak, and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box, once again, I'm always happy to say, is the art god himself and the one and only Nick Domino and James Clay.
Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Right, 45 drivers grace us with their presence this evening, so let's have a look who is representing the AM category. Returning to the series for his first race of this season, it's the V3 Racing 382 Ford of Stefan Kamke, right behind someone that's just binned it. Well done.
That's Mariani.
Michael Mariani, oh there he is, yes, the 302 Raptor Racing Team. Well spotted, Nick. The 302 Raptor Racing Team Orange Ford of Michael Mariani. I love that skin, looks even more awesome in the dark. 398 is the Team Tepper Reindeer. That was a new Tepper team name. 398 Porsche of Rienda Hemstra. 375 is the Hyperion Racing TBA BMW of Jamie Smith. 328 is the Raptor Racing Team Red BMW of Daniele Mamano. Hyperion Racing Blood Orange 318 Porsche, it is Cohen Van Eyck. 307 is the Team Cruising... Wow, that's squiggly coming out of the final turn. Is the 307 BMW for Team Cruising Missiles of Mikhail Pare. Next up is the 377 Team Cruising Missiles BMW of Raimo Cooley. 366 is the V3 Racing BMW of Merlin Cooper. 370 is the Raptor Racing Team Yellow BMW of Alessandro Portagovi, and 346 is the Raptor Racing Team Orange Porsche of Luca Lodato. Right then, Catalunya, gentlemen, what are our thoughts here? Now, it's a historic version, so there's a few slight variations to what we know in Grand Prix terms in modern day. So turn 10 is not as tight as it now is, as we are watching Luca come through. That's turn 5 he's just come down through. So nothing particularly different here, but turn 10 and the final turn are slightly different. What are our thoughts towards Catalunya, gents?
I've fairly enjoyed it, especially on iRacing in single-seater Formula cars. When we've had this... I think I made my debut in the single-seater league here in Formula Renault 3.5 and had some good racing here in that, but unfortunately the GT cars and this track are not a match made in heaven. They're not favoured by a lot of the drivers, and the unfortunate thing with this is because we don't have a very sharp turn 10, which means we have less of a braking zone, and we don't have a very slow and what is normally in a single-seater car very pedantic section of chicanes and stuff at the end of the lap. It means that overtaking has actually become a lot harder with this layout in the GT cars. And last season, if we cast our minds back, because even on the other layout, on the modern layout, it's hard to overtake. There was a lot of argy-bargy going along. There was a lot of bumping people out of the way. Not necessarily the pile-ups and such that we've had on lap 1 so far this season with the cold tyres, but just a lot of getting your elbows out and a lot more of the aggressive racing, and I expect that we might get a lot more of that.
Yeah, it's just, a lot of medium speed, long corners, and it's just a bit dull to drive around as well. One thing, it's not really that many of overtaking opportunities, but it's also just really, not that interesting as a driver to drive on, to be honest. But
what about penalties? Some tracks are a little bit more, what shall we say, less forgiving. The Spa. It'd be well. That's sort of more inconsistent than anything else. What are we facing here?
That's the same sort of thing here. It's a weird inconsistency because what I found was this version and the modern layout have different definitions of the word off track. There are certain things you can do on this layout, what you can't do on this layout, that you can do on the modern layout. So turn 3 is a bit more harsh on this layout, as is turn 9, where you can extend there, which is slightly odd. I've never quite understood why, but when I just remember it in the Formula car again, when each season we had two different layouts, Formula 1 and 3.5, and I was doing things I did the season before, and iRacing was just like, no, you can't do that anymore. You're not allowed. So that's one inconsistency, and also it's quite harsh.
Camkey, yep, I saw that. He's wandered off the road. Not a great return for the veteran, but he is sat in the pit lane now.
That's another tricky thing at this track, is there are a couple of sausage curves just waiting to throw you off, especially with the night time and the lack of visibility because of that, and it just means that things like that can happen where you just turn in a bit too much, hit the sausage curve and bounce over into the gravel, and as we've seen so far this season, that is not a place you want to be.
Certainly not.
But Camke has this thing when he's driving of just always completing a race and just always be up there and getting the points. So I think even with his little off here, I think he will make a strong race today.
You do call him Mr. Consistent.
I do consistency. I have been a lot faster in some of the seasons. He has improved quite a lot since, but in my 7 seasons in a row, I have never beaten him in a championship.
I see. Well, we'll see what he can do. He's going to be towards the tail end of the field as our prams.
He's also a former champion of the AM class.
Well.
Not to forget
that as well. So Luca Lodato currently top of the pile with a 38.797. 138.797 to his credit. They've got another minute to start their final laps. If they're going to do so, Raimo Cooley. No, never mind. Michael Mariani for Raptor has just jumped up to the top spot with a 38.296.
Half a second.
Wow.
That's a lot. But we also saw this last race. He is really... That Ford and Mariani has really... That's a match made in heaven. And, if he keeps on doing these kind of performance, I think he will see himself in another class, perhaps in the foreseeable future.
Could well do. Luca Lodato now second. Raimo Cooley third. Cowan Van Eyck is currently fourth. Daniele Mimano is in the pits fifth. Alessandro Portagovi sixth. Jamie Smith still out there turning the laps in seventh. Mikael Pari, where is he? Wandering off the road. That's turn 9. And he's pulling over and he's throwing his car into the wall. Well, that's one way to bring your session to an end. Rienda Henstra 9 and Merlin Cooper is 10th position. Of course, Stefan not getting a time on the board. And now the Pro-Ams are released. So let's see who is representing the Pro-Am contingent tonight. 226 is the Team Tepper Masterplan Ford of Alex Schmidt. 245 is the Raptor Racing Team Yellow BMW of Stephen Broomfield. 271 is the privateer entrant in the BMW of Dan Alpole. 242 is the Team Tepper Weerborg Ford of Rick Van Dorn. 251 is the Radicals Online Simmortals Ford of John Goodwin. 241 is the Hyperion Racing Blood Orange Porsche of Marvin Sluman. 234 is the Orange Mechanic Porsche of Thomas Santo. 214 is the Team Dingo BMW of Andreas Lutus. 200 is the Team AOR Ford of Sarah Dove. 294 is the Privateer Ford of Alexis Boucher. 262 is the Sim Racing General of the SRC Porsche of Roberti Edouard. 276 is the Team Tepper Turn BMW of Philip Schiff. 236 is the... Oh, that's a team name I don't recognise. Athame? Don't know. That's the BMW of Gerardo Duran. So a new entrant to the league. Welcome to you. 293, we're not going to see the grinning Ford. Well, we'll see the Ford, hopefully, but not so much the grin. That's pretty much all we can see of it at the moment. It is the 293 Hyperion Racing White Ford of Chris Yardley. 217 is the Team Tepper Turn Porsche of Thomas Lagney. And finally, the 204 Hyperion Racing White Ford of Victor Matios. Who are we looking for? Who are we looking for? We're looking for all of them, but who do we think is going to do well here? Do we have any Cata experts in the field do we know of?
It's a relatively new track on iRacing, so it's... I say that it's been around for 3 seasons now on iRacing, which in the overarching scheme of things means it is a very new track, so it's not one that many people specialise in. I think more what's important is the car people are driving, and once again it is the Ford. I think we're going to stand like broken records all season, I think, because I don't think this balance of performance is going to get changed now since we're halfway through the iRacing season. And yeah, it just means that every week now kind of look for a Ford driver and they will probably be doing quite well.
Oh, definitely. But in this particular, the Pro-Am class, we have kind of a, shuffling around as we have had some moving around in the classes.
We will be going through those in the gridding phase. There have been some alterations to who is in which class. Some of you who are supporting particular drivers may notice that the beginning number, so either the 1, the 2 or the 3, at the beginning of their car number may have changed for the drivers you support, or the coloured flash behind the car number and in the bottom left of the screen, and also on the left hand side of their names in the towers, may also have changed to reflect that as well. As we're seeing sometimes come on the board. Stephen Brumfield currently at the top of the tree with a 38.921, but these are the first time laps. These will change as time goes on. He sits 5th overall behind Michael Mariani, still top of the tree with that 38.2. My goodness, that was a absolute stormer from Michael.
It's gonna be interesting. If we think back to last week, if Van Dam and Sarah can really keep that pace up and that advantage that they had over the field. If when, without being too much of a spoiler, with their competitor out of the class, to see who's gonna take up the rails as head of the Pro-Ams.
Indeed. Just look at
then Apple just were off track.
You go for a bit of a wander. Let's have a look.
That's not the fastest way to get around there, mister.
So, that was in the exit of turn 9, streaming down towards 10. Well, it looks alright from there, unless he'd done it. That's Rick Van Dorn. I've gone to the wrong character. Oh, yes, that's not helpful. That's down at turn 6. No, turn 7. Yep, that's not going to help you. We've seen a few people go off into the dust down there, and I dare say we'll see a few more as the time goes on. We've got a big contingent of pro drivers as well, I've noticed, looking at the numbers. Now, there are a number of penalties as well. There'll be quite a few drivers starting from the pit lane following the rather chaotic start we had to Watkins Glen last time around, resulting particularly at turn 9 with the field, the tail end of the field coming to a complete stop. There's been a lot of discussion about that as Marvin Sluman has taken over the top of the tree for the Pro-Ams with a 138.499. Yes, some people slightly less than impressed with how that's turned out. However, the stewards have been very busy looking over all that, and the penalties are rolled out, but we will go through those as and when. Alex Schmidt jumps up to 2nd in class, 3rd overall with a 38.699, exactly 2/10 behind Marvin Sluman, who hasn't got a time on the board yet. Philip Schiff is in the pit. I think he will be a pit lane starter. Andreas Lutus is out there getting very squiggly, coming through turn 4.
Van Dam hasn't set a time yet either.
Rick Van Dorn has not. So he did a 38.5, but it was invalid. That would have put him 2nd in class. So he is pressing on. He's still got 1.5 minutes to get onto whatever time lap he is going to set. He's chasing one of the BMWs. Is that Pontecorvi that's ahead of him?
That's
Yeah, I think so.
Broomfield in front of him.
Say again?
Broomfield.
Broomfield.
Broomfield, and Van Dorn goes on to overall pole position.
Oh yeah, he does by a good couple of tenths. 138.032 from the Ford. Once again, exactly as you guys predicted, the Ford showing its dominance now, or its newly found dominance, I think it's fair to say. Newcomer Gerardo Duran in 18th overall with a 39.9 has parked it in the pits. He can come out again, but he won't have time to start another lap. There is Tim Brumfield, the previously identified BMW. Now demoted to second in class, third overall. Michael Mariani still second in the AM category. Absolutely stunning effort there.
That's really impressive, and that really just shows you how good of a time that was, putting in being P2 in the Pro-Am class.
Ooh, the pros are beginning to fidget as we look at Sarah Dove in the pits. She has parked up. She is 8th overall. 6th in class with a 38.808, just 7/10 off the top time. Armin Sluman is in 4th, 3rd overall. Thomas Lagney has parked it. He's done a 38.5. And there's all the pros ready to go, and the pros have just been released. Is there any Pro-Am still going? Dan Alpol still hasn't got the time on the board. He's the only Pro-Am that I can see that hasn't got time on the board besides Philip Schiff. I've mentioned I believe, is starting from the pit lane. Where is Dan at the moment? He's coming down towards the final few turns. Let's just see him through to the end of his lap. We'll see what time he gets on the board. 140.3 his last lap, but that's fairly non-representative. Whoa, he's sliding a bit wide on the exit at the final turn. What does he get on the board? I'd say 38.7. And that puts him up into seventh position. I know numbers. Right, let's have a look at our pro contingent. Gerd Sommers, number 159 for Team Tepper Ranch in the Ford. She's following an army of BMWs through turn 5. 183 is the HR Racing Team, like it. That's another new entrant, I believe. Or have we seen... No, Michael Perchine was with us before, was he not?
Yes, he was. He was with us last week.
Oops, and he's overcooked that one coming through. Yeah, we commentator cursed you, Mr. Perchheim. I apologise for that. Yes, but he's new this season, if I recall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Second race.
Cool. 111 is the Comrade Gaming Black Porsche of Alex Bennett. 188, who's letting people go, is the Comrade Gaming Solo BMW of Martin Nedlick. 122, the Phoenix Motorsports BMW of Andre Martins. 103, the Venom Motorsports BMW of John Hallowell. 173, the Venom Motorsports BMW of Michael Edens, who's driving into someone else's tyre smoke by the look of that shot. 119 is the Comrade Gaming White BMW of Blair Mann. Remember, he was his birthday last time out, so I can't call him the birthday man anymore. 152, the Team Tepper Ranch BMW of Alfie Lawrenson. 185, the Tag Racing UK Ford of Andy Gorton. 168, the Team Tepper Ford of James Pinsker. The champ is back in not new colours, but a new car. He's, as mentioned last week, he switched from the Porsche to the Ford with the new balance of power, so he has it all to do for the rest of the season. It is number 1, Ross Woodford. 124 is the Comrade Gaming White BMW of Arjen van Putten. 127, the Team Shazoo Ford of Reese Newland. 143, the Radicals Online BMW of Connor Ryan. 106, the Team Shazoo Ford of Michael Neumeier. And finally, 109, the returning veteran, the Comrade Gaming Black Porsche of Christoph Holstein. Ooh, Ross is good. We know this. He needs no introduction, but him changing car, of course, resets his points to 0. Can he do it? Can he retain the championship with the remaining rounds left and the talent of the field that we have?
The slight issue is the Ross Woodford morale is not up where it really needs to be to mount a championship fight. He's not enjoying driving that on the new tyres. He doesn't find it as enjoyable, and so It's a tough one for Ross. It's good that he's still here and he's showing up. We'll have to see how well he does, but he's neither really completely on the pace or having much fun at the moment.
Oh dear.
Yeah, well, the thing for him at least, is that some of his championship rivals have had some, good races and not been here, or good races and really bad races. So, you never say never for Woodford. We have learned that. That's not something that you do. But yeah, I'm just interested to see, if just Holstein can get something back. Him and his Porsche is, even though that the balance of power is not really in his favor, it's not something that you will never really count out. So it's gonna be interesting.
He's been loyal to that Porsche for quite a few seasons now.
Oh, he tried the Ferrari at one point, and he said that's the worst experience he have ever had. He just crashed into everything because he couldn't brake. It was horrible to look at. I think he has done the BMW once.
Last season, he was in BMW because his teammate Bennett wanted to be in the BMW, so he decided to switch to the same car as his teammate so that they could work together better.
Yeah.
He's been champion in the Ferrari, has he not?
I don't think so. No, I
thought he had. He may not have been.
No, I don't think so.
We've got some 37s coming onto the board now. 137.548 for Andy Gorton. 137.596, just half a tenth down, is James Pinsker. And 137.91, just shy of 4 tenths off the current top spot, is Holstein. So that is our 1, 2, 3. At the moment, it's 3 pros, 3 pro-ams, another pro, and then the am. Well in the top. My goodness. Again,
that's a good time.
Highlighting. I think we may have mentioned that before.
Yeah. Well, that it is.
Whoa! Someone's binned it around Ross Woodford. That's one of the
man, I think.
But Mr.
Good
King,
spots.
Are you eating at the moment?
No.
It sounded like it.
Oh, you can hear that. That's unfortunately that's my dogs. Unfortunately, snuffling something.
All right. It just sounded like a.
Would I eat mid-broadcast, sir?
I know, and that's why I was like.
I will drink.
That's
You sometimes hear. Admittedly, you sometimes hear like the scrunching of a bottle. That is me having a drink.
That's yeah. I was like, that can't be right. But I had to ask.
The one exception to that rule was when I had to get some throat lozenges down my throat a few weeks back because my throat was just so bad that particular night, and I still really wanted to commentate, but my throat was just burning, so I had to. So it did sound like I had something in my mouth, which obviously I did.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
You picked me up in chat, I seem to remember. You were in chat that particular day, Mr. Domino.
I think so.
But no, I am not stuffing my face.
No. And Woodford hasn't really set a time yet. That's not.
He hasn't set a time at all.
He's coming around the final corner.
Whoa! And again, that's wide off that final turn. What does he do? It's a 37 though. 37.6 puts him 6th position. Well, does that not very much underline exactly what you've just been saying, James? Wow, I genuinely thought, with the way that the Ford now seems to be behaving, and we know how good Ross is, I thought Ross would obliterate the field. I mean, we do have a red Ford on the front row, but it's not Ross's Radicals Online Ford. It is the Tag Racing UK Ford of Andy Gorton.
And we have Pinsker up here as well. Pinsker is really looking strong this season.
Gorton had just a whiff of slipstream off the back of Holstein, who had to pull over because he made a mistake in turn 10 going down the back straight, which could aid him to defend his provisional pole position as they round the final corner, both him and Pinsker.
And Holstein, I think that was coming in at the top of the chop. There is Pinsker. It's just coming on that last turn. The checkered flag is out. And it did improve. He did indeed. A 137.179 for Andy Gorton, and Pinsker improved as well. A 37.208 Just 0.03 of a second between them. Alex Bennett, a 37.281, just over a tenth
was
behind.
Neumayer losing it in the final corner? That was close, mate. Oh my goodness me.
Clench.
Wow. Really fast into that corner.
Oh, he went full Ken block on that one. That was very well held. And unfortunately, it was a bit of a shame because he held the slide really well. And then the car just really lazily kind of then turned towards the wall, which is a great shame. It was a sad end to what was actually a great moment of showmanship. Well done, sir.
This player man is going P19 overall.
I'm having to be 16 overall.
16, yeah, sorry, 16.
Yeah, 16 overall. And that's only just over a second behind the top time, so that's nothing bad at all. Halliwell is still out there. He's going around the final turn. What does John Halliwell do? He's the last car on track. What does he get on the board? It is 138.3 his last time, and that was invalid. So no, he will not improve from that position, but still pressing on. He can do. He will never make it to the end of the lap. So let's have a look how the grid stands. It is Andy Gorton and James Pinsker. Ford's rounding out the front row rather as we expected. Then it is Bennett, Holstein, Neumayer, Woodford, Zommers, Van Putten, Nadlik, Van Dorn, Lawrenson, Broomfield, Newland, Sluman, Perchheim, Mann, Edens, Mariani, Halliwell, Schmidt, Lagney, Alpol, Lodato, Dove, Cooley, Lutus, Boucher, Martins, Ryan, Goodwin, Edward, Van Eyck, Yardley, Matios, Mamano, Bontagovi, Duran, Smith, Pari, Henstra, Cooper, Santo, and those that didn't set a time were Kamke, Paolo Martins, and Philip Schiff. Well, Stefan Kamke tried to set a time, but didn't quite come off, and Paolo Martins and Philip Schiff starting from the pit lane. Right then, let's have a look at the class changes. So on the left is the class they came from, and on the right is the class they've gone to. So Jussi Rutala has been promoted from Am to Pro-Am. He's not with us this evening. He was unable to join it. Gerd Thomas has gone from Pro-Am to Pro, and two drivers going the other way. Sylvia Moraine, who isn't with us either, has gone to the Pro-Ams, and Roberti Edouard has gone in the same direction. So, like we mentioned, there are going to be a few drivers starting from the pit lane due to the stewards had a look at the footage. Primarily, well, it wasn't the only issue, but it was primarily the big incident into turn 9 that brought the field to a complete halt, and a few drivers will be starting from the pit lane. There was a lot of discussion about that to and from, but when penalties are applied, drivers aren't always happy about it. In all honesty,
oh no.
But that's what the stewards is there for, is to maintain, or to be the governing body, to make sure the racing is done in a fair way. There's always occasions when drivers aren't happy about it. However, I think we all agree it would be complete chaos if we didn't have them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the complaints were the main penalties that were actually dished out were more for not actually slowing down for the instance, and the stewards need to be quite strict on those kind of, because if you only punish the people that cause the incidents and not the people that don't slow down for them and cause incidents because of that, then you're just going to end up with even more trouble on your hands, and they have to be quite strict on this.
Absolutely. And consistency as well is always one of these things. Now, having been part of the stewards panel, not for iRacing in particular, but I've done my fair share of stewards analysis. It's not easy.
Oh, it's definitely not. I can say that we met and actually talked about all of these penalties, and it took about 2 hours.
Well, I could believe that with how many people were involved, particularly in that turn 9 incident.
It's just crazy.
Well, we did say at the time that's going to take a while to unpick, and I think I said I don't envy the stewards on this one, as the pace car is leading us away for a hot lap. No, he doesn't like pace lap. I beg your pardon. Where's our pole, man? Unfortunately, the names on my tools are not in the correct order before we get underway. There's Pinsker. There he is. Let's ride on with the front row of Pinsker and Gorton. If we can find... There's Andy Gorton. Where the hell's he gone?
He's right alongside James Pinsker.
There he is. I was looking for his name in the... I knew where he was on track. name I can't call you on stream for professional reasons. Right. And the final turn. Look how close they all are. Nerves are rising. Adrenaline is pumping. And engine revs are flying. Here we are racing here at Catalunya. A great start, of course, with Gorton, but Pinsker was caught a bit napping there. He's got the Comrade Porsches. The 1 to D thrown in. That's going to be busy. 3 wide coming into turn 1. And that's Woodford on the outside. He's overcooked it. Oh, he's going to fall badly through the field. We'll catch up with him in a minute. But Pinsker's only just been able to fend off Bennett and Holstein in the Comrade Porsches to maintain his position. Where on earth did Ross Woodford reappear? 43rd! Oh my goodness me, 43rd position. Paolo Martins did not start the race. Philip Chip, as mentioned, starting from the pit lane. Oh, disaster. If Ross wanted to make it any more harder for himself, he has achieved that. Lots of passing going on through the field, but it does look like everybody has survived so far.
Oh, Schiff has also been off in turn 1.
There was a bit of door
no.
banging as well in turn 2.
Ooh, as we have a accident at the back of the field.
Oh dear.
Okay, Woodford and Michael Peer.
Oh no, Ross Woodford, as you say. Oh, yep, that's the tap from a big smash on the rear from the 366. That's Merlin Cooper has spun round Mikhail Pari. Ross Woodford, no, he wasn't in it. And it was just those two, I think. Oh dear, not a good start for those guys. But up front, Andy Gorton leads by 0.6 of a second from James Pinsker, who leads by about the same from Alex Bennett. Then
was a huge incident again in the back of the field with
Andre
Martin.
Oh yeah, what's happened here? So we look at Andre Martins. The Ford lost it right in front of him. The 294 Ford. That is, oh my goodness. Oh, there's been another incident. Broomfield. Stephen Broomfield's in trouble. As we were looking at that incident, as the Ford.
Was more carnage.
More carnage, I can see on the numbers. Oh, so Broomfield. There goes Broomfield. And Pontecorvi has been involved in this particular. Well, he's been involved in an incident. What on earth's going on here? Oh, the Raptors have come together and round he goes. And he's been caught up with the Ford again, or with her Ford. Oh, goodness me. So, difficult racing going on. But hopefully it'll kind of settle down. Cohen van Eyck has teleported back to the pits. What has happened to Cohen?
He was in that incident at the end of the back straight.
Oh, nasty. Yeah. So that's where the Ford got spun round. He's tried to get out of the way and got.
Marvin is off. And Holstein is off. Oh my goodness. Guys, relax.
My goodness me. Yeah, Christoph Holstein's in trouble.
Losing it by
Holstein's down in 28th position now.
Oh, Marvin Sluman lost it completely on his own. And I think as well did Holstein. They both had sympathy spins coming out of turn 7, not related to one another at all. What's happened to Jamie? Oh, nothing's happened to Jamie Smith as people passed him on his inside. Good grief! We already have someone amazingly on 10 incident points. We haven't even done 2 laps. Alfie Lawrenson, probably in avoidance of everyone else's issues, is on 10 incident points already. My goodness me, that's. I did not expect that, actually. Like you were saying earlier, James, this is a track that doesn't lend itself to masses of overtaking. I really did not expect that many problems. There's another incident, Edouard! Yeah, Roberti Edouard is out. He already had damage to the back of the car. Round he goes. I don't think there was contact between himself and that BMW we saw in the shot. There's another one! Henstra. No, it's not Henstra. Look at Lodato. Oh, no. Front running with the AMs. What's happened here? So the 346 Porsche, he's dropped that one
by himself.
Yeah, he's dropped that one on his own. Oh my days! Now, as it's quite clear, we are racing at night. Is that going to be causing these guys major problems as far as sort of tyre temperature or anything like that is concerned?
Well, it will make tyre warm-up harder. Also, one thing to bear in mind is that they have only had a very short warm-up period before the race, whereas recently we've been going to tracks that have had long formation laps at Sebring, Watkins Glen and Road America, but even then we still had incidents. But here we've just seen a lot of people skating off the racetrack. You had Woodford at turn 1, Holstein the next lap down at turn 6 as well. And for example, and it's just shown that cold tyres have just thrown people off at a track where grip is very important. One thing that is very interesting though is that Woodford is now just only 2 seconds behind his title rival from last season, Chris Holstein, but they're down in 26th and 27th position.
Crazy. That's a crazy.
That's really the only thing you can say about this. It's just, yeah, everything has just completely gone around here.
I think the lack of overtaking opportunities, as we've been speaking about, means that as much as you try and tell people to take it easy on the first lap, part of your brain goes,
Ooh!
well,
Alex Smith and Thomas Lagney, the Team Tepper pair, nearly coming together. Lagney trying to send it on the inside of turn 1. Smith was quite slow down that start-finish straight and very nearly came together with his fellow Team Tepper representative, but they did manage to navigate that one. Sorry, James, carry on.
I was just saying that, yeah, it's very hard to tell people, even though they know they shouldn't really crash on lap 1, but at a track where you can't overtake later in the race, your brain wants to make up as many positions now as possible. As Lagney in that battle was getting very squirmish under braking for turn 5, but just kept it under control and avoided hitting anybody.
Yeah, just to add to that, I just remember from the guy from Toro Rosso, the team leader. He was like, everything you say to drivers right before the start of the race is just waste of air, because as soon as they go into the car, they don't listen to it anymore. They're just forgetting it.
Right, let's have a look. Well, with all that chaos going on, let's have a look then at where our class leaders are. Of course, Andy Gorton leads the way. And there is James Pinsker. So the top 3 haven't changed much. As you would expect, James Pinsker and Alex Bennett in the top 3, 2 Fords and the Porsche. The Pro-Am lead is Rick Van Dorn in the 242 Ford in a cracking 8th position, with Reece Newland directly behind. Second in the Pro-Ams, it's actually behind the AM leader, is Dan Alpole in 16th position. So that is about 7 seconds. That's amazing in 5 laps between Rick Van Dorn and Dan Alpole. Third is Alex Smith. There he is on Dan's tail, with Thomas Lagney, Saradov in short order behind him. Leading the way, as mentioned, is Michael Mariani, who's having an absolute stormer in the Ford. In the Raptor Ford. Oh, that's someone's tyre smoke again coming out turn 4. So he leads the AMs from Raimo Cooley, who's about 3 seconds down the road. So not such a big gap. There's just a lot of people in his way. There's Alpole, Schmidt, Lagney and Dove in between the AM first and second. And third is Rienda Henstra, we've seen has already come to grief. 9 seconds down the road. And there he is with Brumfield directly behind him. So the field is completely shuffled. Oh, and that's Brumfield and Henstra side by side. Sorry, James. Oh, that is not an overtaking spot. Into turn 7 and 8. And again, fair play to Rian Henstra. He didn't have to let it go. But it was a tad optimistic, I suspect, from the BMW. Here he comes again. Here's Tim Brumfield on the inside. He should be, unless he's overcooked his braking point. No, he's got that one slowed down. So that is 27th for Stephen Brumfield. Goodness me.
Very good, close door-to-door racing. I don't think there was actually any contact in that. They just got so close, and that's actually what we kind of like to see, unlike last season where the door handles were getting banged together. And please take note, guys. I know we've had incidents on lap 1, but can we please keep it calm from here on?
They don't tend to listen.
Massive field spread because of all the incidents we've had on lap 1.
Woodford is getting really close to Holstein. These two were quite aggressive on overtaking Duran on the previous lap. Woodford overtook him with 2 wheels on the grass. That's the way to do it. So I think they're really going hell's blazing to just try and get up to the field and see what they can do here.
One thing Ross told me after his drive through the field in Sebring was that he could tell that people noticed the fact that he doesn't have a 101 or a 10 whatever. He has just the number 1. As Woodford actually locked his brake going into turn 5 and got very squirmish on exit because of it. So he's fallen back behind Holstein now. But yeah, he was saying that he could tell that people were recognising that he was the reigning champion and were just moving out of his way a lot in Sebring when he was going through the people further down the class. And I think he's going to have to rely on that again today.
Oh, definitely.
Sorry, gentlemen, I choked there. I was trying to take a drink and I forgot which one is swallow and which one's breathe. Apologies there, gentlemen. So thank you for filling in for me.
That's the 40.
That's the, yep. Yes, almost as close to the back of Martin Nadley. Very close to the back of Martin Nadley indeed. The Tapper Ford is trying to do something against the Conrad BMW. There they go, side by side coming into turn 1.
Ooh, that's right behind them. Blair Mann and Alfie is having a scrap as well.
Oh, yeah, but Gerd got that one done. Oh, Ross is in the pits already. Now, we haven't seen him hit anything. Again, as a reminder, they will have to pit, but that seems exceedingly early. Oops. Yeah, I thought you missed your pit box. You hit locked up quite badly. Yeah, like you say, James, he's not having a good time with the Ford.
It's not the Ford. He's just not enjoying the tyre model. He didn't enjoy the Porsche, and he's now not enjoying the Ford. And I think, yeah, it's just, I don't really know what's going on. Also, I know Ross has his graphics settings turned down a bit, so it looks like he's very close to the pit, well, the pit garages right now. But on his screen, I don't think he can actually see those, which is slightly also of a worry because for a lot of
Sarah Dove. We were looking at. I had the camera on Sarah Dove just as she'd gone tail first into turn 7. Sorry, again, I'm cutting over both of you in a horrifically unprofessional manner. I wholeheartedly apologise.
There's so many incidents going on that you kind of have to.
Somewhat, yeah. Now Connor Ryan's
like,
right on her tail.
Yeah, it's tracks like here in Nürburgring where you can sometimes turn your graphics settings so low that you can't see the pit garages, and when you pull in for your pit box, it means that you could sometimes accidentally drive into the buildings without seeing them. And I mean, it's the same for, well, there was an incident at Le Mans that I'm sure Alex Bennett won't mind me sharing, where he locked a brake, missing his braking point, and trying to slow, well, he didn't lock a brake, he just missed his brake, I think, but just in trying to slow the car down, he aimed for an area where he thought there was space to slow down, and he just drove into an invisible wall for him that we, with our graphics settings turned up in the replay cam, could very clearly see, and it just looked like he'd driven into a wall like a complete muppet.
Yeah, that's not something you want. Also, on this track, if you don't have your graphic settings up, the inside sausage curb on turn 1 has a tendency to disappear.
Yeah.
And sometimes reappear and then disappear again. I remember Kamke will mid-corner, suddenly a curb appeared out of nowhere.
Lovely.
Which you never really want. A thing that I have seen also with these sausage curbs, especially with the BMWs, is that drivers have had the issue of the front bumper coming off.
Right.
By hitting the sausage curb. Yeah. And in that case, that's the front lights as well.
Oh, yes, of course.
See anything.
And
so they have...
And there doesn't look... Well, there is no circuit lighting. As we're on board with Holstein, as he's just banzaied on the inside of John Goodwin coming into turn 10, there's very little in the way of circuit lighting.
Yeah. Mainly just a few lamps scattered around here and there, and down the pit straight is really the only place where you get a lot of light. It's definitely different to maybe your Formula 1 night races, Daytona, those kind of places where they're very lit up. It's very much on your own, especially if you're someone like Andy Orton right now. Once, because Pinska's starting to get a bit far away, you're kind of just going to get into the realm of driving through the night, not really seeing much. Some people like it. I'm one of those who just likes being in sort of my own tunnel. It's a very focused tunnel to sort of drive through the night with. But some drivers just hate not being able to see everything, especially with things like disappearing sausage curbs. I can understand that.
Oh yeah,
disappearing sausage curbs that are also out of your headlight vision some of the time. It can make things very difficult. One thing to note on that whole sausage curb thing is that you'll see a lot of Ford drivers in the turn 7-8 chicane running over the exit sausage curb on the apex of turn 8. But Porsches and BMWs, you're not going to see them doing that much, because I know it's very damaging to their floors and their noses, as Nick said. So both those two cars probably won't run out there as much. One thing I also noticed is we have no Ferraris today.
No, we don't. Oh, Blair Man! That's a big move on the inside of Alfie Lawrence. Yeah, I hadn't realised we've got no Ferraris. So our few Ferrari veterans have ditched them now.
Ferrari's just not season. I expect next season to get quite fast, because that tends to be the pattern of things. The car gets very slow, and then iRacing give it a big reduction.
Yeah, big boost. Big boost.
Oh, trouble! That is Martin Nadleek! Oh no! What has happened here? Oh wow, a huge snap of oversteer, and that's gonna hurt. Head first into the wall. He's chosen to continue, as I'd have thought he'd have pitted straight away, but no.
Well, it's very tight to get to the end from here. It's still not really where you want to be pitting, because 2 full tanks still won't quite probably make it to the end. They might just with a bit of fuel saving, but it's very sketchy.
I think Woodford has called it a day. He has been now 5 minutes into the pit.
Oh yes, yeah, he hasn't actually reappeared. I was just thinking, I wonder where that puts Ross. Yeah, Ross Woodford has parked it. Oh dear. So definitely not enjoying how things currently stand. Yeah, funny you mentioned that. The exit curb out of turn 8, and that way the Fords bounce over it and nobody else does. I'd made that same mental note actually, that Andy Gorton's been bouncing over that all race long, and nobody else is going anywhere near it.
No,
That's also,
it's very scary.
Yeah, but it's also, the Ford has always been okay, fine, good on the curbs. The Porsche is like, never touched them at all.
Yeah.
If you see a high curb, the Porsche is just, if you hit it, you die. You die. At the beginning of the Porsche's life, you actually had the issue of going on your roof if you hit them.
Nice. So you did it properly then.
Yeah, you just bounce the car up. I remember seeing, was it the Holstein going through corners on 2 wheels, just as you do.
Of course he would.
But the Ferrari is, historically just the curb eater. It's been able to go over curbs and just flatten them completely. Again, different characteristics for the cars.
Is it me or has Andreas Lutis got a rearranged front to his BMW?
That is a rearranged front.
Yeah, I thought it. I thought it wasn't my eyes playing tricks on me. I know I'm in my 40s now, so I know I need to go to Specsavers at some point. I know that, but
yeah. But yeah, that's different.
Different matter. It's Rihanna Henstra and Jamie Smith swapping round. What's going on here? Philip Schiff and Merlin Cooper doing the same.
Lotus went very wide in turn 4. Holstein's looking as if he's trying to get sort of a entrance into that 20th position, into that top 20. And if he could see the front end of Lotus, he'd be very encouraged to go for the move. After his last week troubles of trundling around with a rearranged nose of his own, some might say, others might say quite missing. After his incident in pit lane, he'll know what it's like, and he's already sort of looking down the inside. Will he go for it? Yes, he has quite a simple move there. I don't know whether Lutus will let him go. No, obviously not the same class between the 2 drivers, and it looked like quite a straightforward maneuver for Holstein.
That car number 109 is also, when you see that number in your rearview mirror and your telemetry, you kind of have to move, because there's a multiple champion coming, so you're not gonna fight Holstein.
This was the thing that annoyed me, because when I signed up for the single-seater league, because Holstein was still there at the time, and I wanted the number 9, and I realised that Holstein has it. But luckily in that league we were allowed to add zeros to the front of our numbers, so I got the 09. Holstein got the actual 9.
We had a point. We had, I think, Nick. I seem to remember we had 7, 07, and 007. So it was 3 different individuals on that same point.
Well, that's not as difficult as what we have at the moment, where we have Evan Imray, Evan Way, and James
Clay. Yeah,
when you're there,
I was reminiscing about that earlier today, actually.
And Van Waldo and Waldo, it's just
that's not
okay.
Whilst you're here, James, but do not, for our sake, share the track. I don't care whether you have
to try not to get in the Evan sandwich again. Okay.
Exactly.
You have been warned.
It didn't turn out very well for the other 2 Evans anyway on the
last
lap.
No.
But Yeah, that was interesting at the time.
Ooh, it's like these
Henstra just has
off.
gone into the gravel as he's
Ooh.
missed his breaking point.
And Lagney has gone off as well.
Yeah, Lagme
That
was the one that...
I was getting the
Oh!
type of Porsches mixed up.
Yeah. And, yep, skating over the gravel, keeps it going. Can these things actually bog down to the gravel to the point where they never reappear, or...
You
Is
cannot get beached in the gravel, no.
No. That's right.
I haven't. Well, there might be a certain car on the game that somehow glitches it or something, but out of all of the mainstream cars, there is nothing that can beat you in the gravel apart from something like the F3 car not having a wheel. That can quite often beat you. I managed to do it where I crashed in the final corner at this track and was about a metre away from the line with one working rear wheel in the F3 car in random race I was doing, and spent a good maybe 3-4 minutes just trying to crawl across the line.
Just get out and run over the line at that point.
Well, yeah, if only.
Holstein is on the back of Raimo Cooley for 18th position overall. It feels very sad to have to sort of say that Holstein is in a battle for 18th position.
Yeah, well
Ooh, side by side, crikey! That was Andre Martins side by side with Jamie Smith. That's still going on. Now the Porsche Arena Henstra is trying to get involved as well. Oh my days! That's down at turn 5, and the Porsche's lost that. Whoa! And that's Thomas Santo that's gone wide. That's Daniele Mimano and Alexis Boucher's gone through. Oh, Cooley's lost that spot into Holstein. Into turn 10 from Holstein, I should say. It seems to be his, it's one of the successful overtaking spots, isn't it? It's one of the heaviest braking zones, if not the heaviest braking zones on the circuit, isn't it, down there at turn 10? Even in this guise.
Well, I mean, it's probably... It's only about a 60-70 metre braking zone. So it's still not very heavy, and that's why it's very difficult.
Oh, Michael
Edens.
Edens. Oh, I thought Michael Edens. Oh, John Halliwell. My goodness me, you sent that from a long way back. I think Edens rather saw that one coming. Oh, trouble. Oh, big trouble for Thomas Lagney. Oh, he's had a huge issue on the exit of the final turn. Sarah Dove following. What's happened here? He's lost that completely on his own. Miles too wide, spins round, and Sarah Dove goes on the grass to not hit him. And he backs it into the wall, rear wing pointing in completely the wrong direction. I suspect the diffuser is very heavily reshaped. Yeah, it's not a happy Porsche.
That's not going to be a nice handling Porsche. I'm surprised it hasn't spun through turn 3, to be honest, because that's where all the downforce is needed. And
Sarah Duff! Sarah Duff spun!
Ooh.
Oh, again on her own. That's on the exit. Well, around turn 4. And she's going to have to be very careful how she returns to the track. There she goes.
Right in front of Lagney.
Right in front of Thomas Lagney. Oh, there they are again. I mean, Lagney's issue wasn't caused by Sarah Dove. She just happened to be nearby at the time it happened. Goodness me.
Holstein's coming up to Alex Smith. Even though Holstein have had the issue, going off and stuff like that, I think he enjoys, this race more than he did last week's, because this
I suspect so.
You can actually fight, Sometimes it's also just fun going up through the field.
There's a real big Dayglow purple going on in that Porsche. I'm in the cockpit cam. There's some kind of purple hue in there.
That is normal for all the GTs and the LMPs as well. That you don't get the dashboard can be really blinding to your eyes. So it's kind of
I see.
And to help actually see stuff during the night.
That makes sense. So you can find where your Coke cans and chocolate bars are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's what I would be looking for.
Oh,
Marvin Sluman and Conor Ryan have swapped round for 24th position. Again, that's into turn 1. There, Holstein now up to 17th position, 1.2 seconds behind the... is that Martin Nadley? No, that's not Martin Nadley. That is who...
Cohen Van Eyck.
Oh, Cohen Van Eyck's come back to track. So he's been in the pits for nearly 4 minutes. And he's 10 laps down from the leader. We've lost 4 from this race. Mikel Pari, Ross Woodford, Roberti Edouard, and Paolo Martins didn't take the start. So excluding Paolo Martins, we've had 1 representative from each class out so far.
Yeah, Martins, I don't think actually took the start.
No, he didn't.
No.
Paolo didn't take the start, unfortunately. It's Alfie Lawrenson on the back of Rick Van Dorn. Those the Tepper pair have been quite close together for quite a while now. Alfie Lawrenson was very quick to get up to 10 incident points, but has not gained any more since then, in fairness. Let's see who else is in a close quarters. Halliwell and Edens, there they are. Michael behind John. The Venom Motorsports BMWs coming into turn 1 with Michael Perchheim right behind them for HR Racing.team and the Porsche. And Nadlik and Holstein. Holstein with his next victim. Holstein's been lapping pretty quick. Again, sort of close to leader's pace, which must be very frustrating for him to have been stuck in the midfield for so long. He's about 28 seconds behind the leader. Alex Schmidt about 8 tenths behind. There he is in the Ford. Next close pack is this one. Raimo Cooley, Andreas Lutus and John Goodwin for 19th position. Newcomer Gerardo Duran and Stephen Brumfield having a great old scrap for 22nd place. Ivan Sluman has Connor Ryan for company in 24th. Saradov still has Thomas Lagney and Luca Didato, so Thomas not looking to bring that Porsche in. Oops, as Sarah's gone a bit deep on the exit of turn 5. Oh, Lagney, you're brave with a misshapen Porsche. Had to think about it on the inside of turn 8, or turn 7, right, beg your pardon.
Ooh, as Lodato is looking, we want to be in that fight as well.
Very much so.
That Porsche up there does not look like it has a fun day like this one.
Well, Thomas is.
Yeah, that one. That has seen better days. Oh my
Very
goodness.
much so. Oh, Daniele Bimane side by side with Randy Hensler. Sorry, James.
Just that our Pro-Am leader, Rick Van Dorn, has a dented rear end to his Ford as well. Nowhere near the scale of Lanny, but nonetheless, the man who is leading the Pro-Ams by a fair margin over Dan Al by 8 seconds does have a bit of damage to contend with. So just a bit more of a stellar job. Last week out, he finished on the podium now, P2 since Sommers has been promoted. And he had a bit of lack of pace in the second stint. Apparently, he told me that he just, for some reason, lost a bit of confidence and just dropped off the pace. And he needs to hope that he doesn't do the same this week with that damage.
Michael Neumeier and Gerd Sommers swapped round on the exit of turn 5. That was a very close look at that. 3 Fords, 5, 6, 7. Reece Newland being the third of that particular train. Arjun Van Putten.
What happened with Neumeier was he spun going into turn 5.
Oh.
Well, he was going into the gravel. I just saw smoke. I presume it was a spin. I know it's just a brake lockout, sort of a half spin, because he was running in P4 at the time, and so yeah, now he's having to fight back his way up. He's just behind Van Putten at the moment, so he's still in 5th position and can get back into that P4. What that means for people like Holstein is that, at one point he was only 20 seconds behind P4, but now he's even closer.
Indeed. Oh, big spinner! That's John Halliwell! That's another one that's fallen victim to that final turn. Oh, slid way too far. Just couldn't catch a huge impact to the wall. And that is one of the Venom Motorsport BMWs in a very sorry state. Doesn't... Oh, wow, he's struggling to keep that car straight. It doesn't immediately look too bad.
Probably got suspension damage. He hit it with quite an angle. Probably dented the front right there, maybe even the rear as well, and that just means that the stability of the car, trying to actually steer it, is going to be greatly impaired, unlike a lot of the bodywork damage, which really only affects your straight line speed, a little bit of your downforce, but these cars don't generate that much downforce, so you don't really notice it too much.
A couple of people in the pits of their own free will. That's Thomas Santo and Alexis Boucher. Still a little early, but kind of more at a time we'd expect it. Oh, Brumfield! Stephen Brumfield's off! Oh, now was there impact between himself and whoever that BMW was behind him?
He definitely had impact with the wall.
Yeah, there was a little
there was. Yeah, that was a hell of a bang. And he skated off the road and bounced into the wall. Oh dear, oh dear. Not sure who that was that clunked him.
It was our newcomer, Gerardo Duran.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And our viewers might think, why didn't the gravel stop him? That's because, this season with the new tire model, iRacing have decided to change grass and gravel with ice.
Yeah, ice, yeah.
So when you actually go off track, you're just accelerating into walls. You're not really stopping at all.
John Halliwell has brought his car in. So is Christoph Holstein. So the charging Porsche is in. I suspect John's going to be in there for quite some time. Neumeier and very close to Van Putten. So the...
Holstein missed the box.
Oh, not you as well.
Again?
Well,
it's unlike last week. At least he's not missing a bonnet right now.
that's just a significant chunk of his front.
But
front
he
of
do
the
have a
car.
bit of damage on his left front wheel.
Oh, he does.
On the bodywork.
That
Probably
was
a side effect of fighting through the field.
he's come away pretty quick, so it's obviously nothing that bad. And actually, so's John Halliwell, amazingly. Halliwell's come out, it was 13.8 seconds stationary. That I was very surprised at. Just
Right out
jumped.
in front of the Gwyn.
Yeah, right out in front. Actually, we might be able to see. Let's jump on the where are you? The gearbox cam. Nope, still can't bloom and see it. You'll see the grinning forward. There you go. That's as good as we're going to see it. The grinning forward of Christian.
With Halliwell is that, if he didn't have any required repairs, as it's quite, amazing that he didn't have, he doesn't need to take any optional repairs, which means that if he flaws it, he just drives.
The steering looks straight as well from the onboard cams, so he probably didn't have suspension damage in the end. Just maybe tyres were a bit heated up after the slide, and that's why he was having handling issues.
Very lucky.
He should maybe pay the guy with the gaffer tape just a bit, because he might have hit him at that point.
I mean, if there was any kind of marshal at that point of the pit wall, he will need to give them new trousers and underpants.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Neumeier and Perchheim have brought their cars in. Reece Newland is pretty close to Gert Thomas and Blair Mann at the moment.
Gap up front is down to 1.11 seconds at the end of last lap. And we know that Gorton normally likes short film pit stop. And if I was him, I would be inclined to do so. But whether Pinsker will try and preempt that in short fill as well, who knows? Because if Gorton can short fill, then he'll get Pinsker out of his slipstream, which means that he might just be able to build a bit of a gap through the middle stint, and then sort of break away and have a big gap as they come out the pits for the final.
More cars in. Stefan Kamke has brought his Ford in. I didn't actually appreciate the mental livery on that car. That is quite epileptic. The V3 Racing livery, that is quite something. Rianda Henstra in as well, along with who else has come in? Kamke, we already know of. I thought there was another one, but perhaps not. Unless Andy Gordon and James Pinsker.
4,
yeah,
top 5, 6, 7. They're all coming in.
There's one with it. We saw this last week as well, didn't we? We're just
8.
Yeah. Lawrenson? No, Alfie Lawrenson.
They're all. Ariani, Apple, Smith is going long.
Alfie Lawrenson's gone on.
Oh, it's Nader League. Ooh, that was close. It sounded like he hit the wall, but I think he just survived it.
Yep, Smith, as you say, has gone on, along with Alfie Lawrenson. So the Team Tepper boys, maybe with an extra small fuel tank in the car.
Do we have a stop time for the two leaders to see if Gorton shortfield or not? Because I don't have one.
They were 0.1 of a second apart.
Okay, Gorton
19.6.
gained a lot of time through the pit lane itself then, because he's gained about 8/10 over the pit stop phase.
He was 4/10 quicker than James last time around. They were 38.1 seconds. Sorry, Andy Gorton was 38.1 seconds through the pit lane.
Sorry to cut you off, but Neumeier and Putin are really fighting for that position, as Neumeier just came out of the pits right in front of Van Putin and has now gotten that position back that he lost when he spun. And he just kept it, now defending Van Putin off there. So interesting. He also short fueled a bit with around a second.
Probably to get out in front so he could get back into that fourth position. He was kind of like, lonely 4th place at one point. He was a little bit challenging Alex Bennett, I guess. I think he was only a couple of seconds behind, but his gap behind to 5th was quite big. So probably just pull away now and doesn't really have to worry about the short field that he's taken and just wants that clean air.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Alfie Lawrenson then. He chose to go
Smith.
on along with Smith. Sarah Dove has yet to come in the pits. She is coming around turn 10, I think. No, that's 12. So Yardley and Matios yet to see the pit lane as well. And what a shock, they're all Fords. Surprise was no one of that. So yeah, Andy Gordon, exactly as you say, James, has extended his lead through that phase, although it's 1.7 or thereabouts. So James may choose to kind of get his foot down a bit.
Was Alfie Lawrenson is looking to get Van Putten here? No, he backs out of that one. No, summons.
Alfie Lawrenson's just coming out of the pit lane.
Sorry, yeah, it was Karen Summons. Sorry, it's all my advert just jumped up and down.
Yardley's continued, interestingly. He's the only one not to have pitted. He's got a pair of Teppers ahead of him. He backs out of that, doesn't fancy getting involved in that one. So that's Alex Smith. That's actually a lapped car ahead of them. With Henstra? Yep, that's Rienda Henstra. As Matios has come into the pits. The only person that has yet to see the pit lane is Chris Yardley. Oh, flash of the lights there from Alex Smith. He doesn't like Rienda's behaviour at the moment. Or just,
he just wants him to get out of the way.
Get out of the way, yeah. With the okay, this may just be me that has seen that, but with Alex Smith just flashing his lights there, it actually looked like the Ford was blinking because the shape of the lights is kind of more oval than round. It actually looked like a pair of eyes that were blinking away.
Oh yeah, and they actually they haven't really modeled it correctly in iRacing. The only car for flashing lights they have actually modeled correct is the Audi. Because these cars, when you're flashing your headlights, you can't see anything. Because it's the whole lights normally. Oh, as we have somebody off.
Smith! It's Alex Smith.
Oh
no, down at turn 10. Overcooked that one. And off he goes.
But what the Ford is really doing in real life is like, it's only the middle or the outside lights that are flashing. So you can always see something.
Smith and Lutus!
Side by side. Oh my goodness, don't hit each other.
Oh, we've seen so many people go off and they're on the road. It's Nadleek!
CRG car and
It's Martin Nadleek. Oh my.
Goodness.
Well driven from all of them. Well, less well driven by Martin Nadleek for wandering off the road. But at least he kept himself in a very predictable position. Well driven from Lutus and Schmidt.
It was that thought of, will Lutus lift here or will he try and go around Nadley? He did the smart decision and he did lift. And he lives to fight another day because of it.
Yep. Paul Gertz is getting close to Archie Van Putten for 5th position.
Yardley is still going. Sorry, but Yardley's still going.
He is still going. He still hasn't seen the pit lane.
Is he going for the one-stop strategy?
Ooh. We know that he's been good on fuel in the past. So that could be.
He's got to go.
Oh, Nadleek! Sorry.
He's got to go at least another.
We've lost Martin Nadleek.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he's pulled off. He's had a technical trouble. I wonder if he's had like a. That looked like a VR failure or something like that. Which unfortunately can happen where the screen just goes blank. Or it freezes. That looked like a technical trouble of some description. He's out of the session. So yeah.
He just braked going through turn 3 and then the car just turned more because he was going slower and then he just decided to pull over to the side of the track.
Ooh, as we have Lagney, Boucher and Bromfield quite close.
Where are they? There they are.
P28, 29 and 30.
Oh yeah, they are. All in the Pro-Am category.
And he's still with the rearranged rear end on that Porsche, did not opt to take the damage. As someone who is hoping to study aerodynamics, I'm just going to say that the wing in that sort of shape and form at the moment is probably not doing a good job of generating much downforce.
Are you sure? Well, it should help him with the turn or what?
Well, it would help him turn in one direction.
Yeah,
Well, it might be good for ovals.
Also, the diffuser's probably not generating much downforce either.
I mean, at that angle, yeah, for ovals, I think that's a tad extreme even for that. I mean,
That's somebody off.
Yeah, that looked like a lot of smoke there, or some such. Oh, was the Ford of Alexis Boucher. Stephen Brimfield went a bit wide there, so Stephen Brimfield has come through. Chris Yardley has finally been through the pit lane. Yeah, about the halfway point.
Well, he's a lap short. Well, it's a lap and a half short because it's probably going to go 49 at a push 48 laps. But he's pitted on lap 23, so to make the one-stop work, he has to go 25 or 26 laps on the stint.
But do you think he might think that he could get lapped? Because then he's going a lap shorter.
It's a very odd gamble to make.
That is one gamble, but then he still has to go longer on this stint. No matter what, he has to go longer on this stint than he did on the last.
Yeah, but if he was doing that, then he would. Of course, he's not planning. If he is doing the one stop, he's obviously not planning to come into the pits again. It's a fairly safe bet that everybody else is. So he's relying on being lapped essentially again.
Well, he's not quite lapped yet. He's 12 seconds. His gap to Andy Gorton.
No, but it's likely he's going to fall a lap down, and then when the leaders come in, he will unlap himself, and then he needs to be lapped again. Oh, is that someone in trouble? Oh, John Halliwell. Sorry, John Halliwell is in trouble. Very big trouble. What on earth's happened to John Halliwell? What on earth's gone on here? What's he done?
He's stuck in the wall.
It's just, again, it's like he's just lost all power. And he's teleported back to the pits.
He came out of the pit.
No, he did. That's what I thought initially as well, but no, he
did. He did. Oh no, he was just. I don't know. That is very odd.
Very, very strange indeed. My dogs are joining in. They find it very strange as well. Sarah Dove's in trouble. Oh no, Sarah Dove's in trouble. Oh, it's the same problem she did before. She'd been there on the exit of turn 3, I think that is. Is it 3 or 9?
Yeah. Turn 4, what? 4. Yeah.
Is it 4? Yeah, I beg your pardon, it is turn 4. Yeah, that's what she did before. She's on 17 incident points, as so is Alexis Boucher, actually. So this is reminiscent of Sarah Revol, where she would, throw the dice against the incident limit, but that's still got another nearly 38 minutes of racing to go.
And she can't get another incident point, otherwise she will get a stop-go penalty.
Stop-go penalty, yeah. Oh, look at this gaggle here. Arjun van Putten in 5th, Gert Sommers 6th, Blairman 7th, and Reese Newland in this great scrap here. Oh, Reese very close to the back of Blairman. That's not a leader, that's a lapped car. Oh, Victor Matios is in trouble. The 204 Ford. Oh, he's overcooked that into turn 10. And he's hit the wall. He's hit the wall hard as well. Oh, that front right has taken a hell of a clunk. And now, Thomas Lagney and Stephen Brimfield side by side. I'll give Thomas his due. He is determined to wrestle that Porsche with its reshaping going on.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's doing a project while driving at this point.
Maybe we'll run this aero package more often.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe.
Well, as we said last time, this is the track in Formula 1 where they normally, have their, upgrades on the car. So it could be test of new aerodynamics.
And it is a common test track in F1. That is true.
Yeah. And we have a week off next week. They might do even more testing.
Oh yeah.
It is break week next week. Yes. I've checked in with our leaders, Andy Gordon and James Pinsker. It's 1.4 apart, so has James been slowly whittling that gap away?
Yes, James has been slowly closing in on Gordon.
Fair play.
But I think that's, down to traffic. They have been overtaking quite a few cars. That gap has gone up and down throughout the...
Victor Matios, the latest, and the Hyper in white as he's jumping out of the way of James. Very nicely done. Wouldn't have cost either of them any significant time. Very well driven. Have we got anyone on 0 incident points? That's the other thing I tend to look for. No, we don't have a single driver. We have a few 1s, but no 0s left on the board. Again, just rather highlights how difficult this track is to get right.
Especially during the night, it's just something, if you're not really an endurance racer, you don't, use a lot of time in the nights. So sometimes it's not really a thing that the drivers have practiced too much. A track like Sebring, we've been there in the night quite a few times.
Many
so
times,
they know that one, but this is not a track that is normally driven in the night. A track like Le Mans is also, they know that.
It's commonly done at night, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you compare this to other sims out there, such as Corsa or R-Factor, the headlights on those games, I think a lot of drivers would say, especially in the olden days of iRacing when they first added the data transition, the headlights were quite questionable on here. They have made improvements, but it's still not the best, and there are certain points of low visibility, so if you know this track in the night on a different game, it can sometimes be slightly hard to trip over because of the slight lack of visibility with that.
Yes, saying that they were not good at the beginning is an understatement.
Yeah. I mean, they were good at lighting up the trees sometimes.
Yeah, but seeing anything. I was in the prototypes during a Le Mans race, and you couldn't see the GT cars before they were about a second in front of you.
Wow.
And you are going a bit more, than a second a lap faster than they are. So you're catching them quite fast. So, and I had one of my other teammates from the PCDC, he braked to try and let me pass, and I just missed him, nearly, and I didn't see that it was him. I just, if I hadn't known on the relative, I wouldn't have known. So it's just, it's an understatement. You couldn't see anything.
Also, just one thing I've noted. Christoph Holstein is having to 10th position. He's right on the back of Rick Van Dorn, and then is not far away from getting into quite a big gaggle of cars.
That is a fair observation. And he's been around, we said before, he's been around 27 seconds behind the leaders. He's still at that same gap. So he's been lapping at leaders' pace for quite some time. Let's not underestimate that either. Also, I'm still keeping an eye on that lead battle. It's very give and take. It's a 10th here, a 10th there between Gorton and Pinsker. It's still hovering at around about, or just under 1.3 seconds now. Oh, Lagny and Boucher close together as well. That's for 26th. So trying to keep an eye on battles throughout the field, as there are quite a few of them. Sluman's got some company. Marvin Sluman in 19th position with Raimo Cooley and John Goodwin. So battle for 19th position.
We were talking about Yardley, seeing if he would get lapped. He is.
He's just about to, isn't he?
He's just about to be lapped.
There you can see in the long of that shot is our two leaders. So Yardley will be having some company pretty soon. Very curious to see if he is going for the one stop.
I think with his lap times he must be, unless he had a mistake last lap. I just want to check what his lap times have been. With his lap times he's got to be. He's lapping close to the 1 minute 40.
He's on the slower end of the scale. Whoa, Holstein, that was close. Oh, he was very close to the tail of Rick Van Dorn there, who's our Pro-Am leader and has been for a long, pretty much all race long.
Yeah, qualified on pole in the Pro-Ams and has led ever since.
And that ahead of them is not Reece Newland. Their next position, that will be
Philip Schiff in the 276 BMW.
Very nicely done, getting very out of the way, and that should be a pretty easy pass for Holstein.
I expect Rick to let Chris go here. There's not really much point fighting someone who's in a different class when you're so far in front. There's no point to take much risk.
No.
And indeed he does. Nicely done, both drivers. Christoph Holstein up to 9th place from being near enough. Well, he wasn't quite last, was he? But he was
very after his gravel trap.
Thomas Lagny still has company from Alexis Boucher and Sarah Dove. They have similar colour schemes, the two Fords. Sort of that pinkish colour. They're not teammates. But Thomas is, I must say, he's done a brilliant job just keeping that Porsche for at a semi-decent pace. It's off the pace, of course it is. It's pretty heavily beaten up, as you can see, but he's done far better than I thought he would.
I'm just going to look at the speeds going into turn 1. I've just looked, so he hit 259 kilometers an hour. And I'm going to compare that with Christoph Holstein just to see, because he's obviously quite a quick Porsche driver. I think he has a bit of damage though.
He does have some damage to the centre front left.
Just to see the extent of how much Lanny's damage is costing him down that main straight.
Yeah,
he's hitting around the 264, 263, somewhere around there, and that's quite a big difference when you're about 4 kilometers an hour down on just the main straight. You have to remember he's doing that on every straight, albeit there's not that many around here, but we're talking every time you just get on that throttle pedal, you've got more drag.
And Brumfield and Smith aren't that far away from that gaggle either. So there's a bit of a conga line forming behind Stephen Brumfield. I don't think because of Stephen Brumfield. Ooh, there's another battle I've just seen. Arjen van Putten, Geert Zommers. Well, as I just seen, I've just realised again. So that is 5th. Arjen van Putten, Geert Zommers in 6th. Blair Mann 7. And Reece Newland in 8th. Then it is 4.1 seconds back to the still charging Christoph Holstein. And the way he's going, he'll be in that pack before the checker flag falls.
In this pace, he'll probably be there in around 10 laps time, which is going to get close to around pit stop window, so we'll have to see how things work out. But that final stint could see all things kick off in that group, because you've got 4, soon to be 5 drivers battling over that 5th position.
Another stop coming in, this time for Alexis Boucher. So I think that's the first of the second stops going on. And Gorton has responded to the gap as it was shortening down. There is traffic around them, so that no doubt helped. That's Chris Yardley, the ever grinning Ford, is now a lap down. He's not even attempting to stay in the slipstream of the two ahead of him either. So yeah, that's an exercise in fuel conservation if ever I saw one. Yeah, but Holstein is absolutely flying. That gap between himself and Reece Newland is disappearing pretty damn quick.
He has been so fast this race. He, with the pace he had, that would have been a P3 easily at this point. And yeah, he will kick himself a bit for it, because this is the second race in a row that he hasn't really had the best of luck. So this one is again one that just got away from him. What position were he when he hit the what?
Sorry, Marvin Sluman's in the pits.
Oh, all right. What position were he last time? When he hit that car in the pits? Was it P2 or something like that?
Well, when he hit the car, he was P2 or P3, one of those two.
Yeah. So again, it's good points, really strong good points that he's losing on small mistakes. Hitting a car in the pits. What are the odds at for that? And make Holstein making a driver error. That's not really something that we see that often. So
sorry, Gerardo Duran and John Goodwin side by side, and the Ford has won out over that one. Ooh, as the BMW bounces over the curb. Marvin Sluman's in for a longer stop, it seems. Looking at the time, he's been sat there for considerably longer than everybody else has. So he's had more to deal with than most. And Pinsker's on the move again. Now closing that back down to 1.2 seconds. Oh, Gerd Sommers! Oh no, one of that pack of 4.
Oh my goodness, no.
Oh, wow. Okay. Even the Ford felt the sausage curb on the inside of turn 1, just bounced off that. He's kept it out of the wall just about, but that's dropped him all the way down to 12th. Oh,
when we say ride the sausage curb, we mean don't use your tyres on the sausage curb. We mean put it underneath the floor of your car, because you can normally ride over it and use it that way. If you just put your tyres on it, then your tyres are going to leave the ground, and they don't tend to work very well when they're not on.
No.
that's not really when you have the grip.
When he's wiggling around in the air.
Yeah, no, it's
Pinsker is pushing on again.
Yeah.
He's very well. I mean, obviously the gap rises and falls as they're in and out of braking zones. But Jamie Smith has brought his car into the pits, and also remember that Gorton and Pinsker came into the pits at exactly the same time. Lap times 38.4, 38.3. So again, another slightly quicker lap from Pinsker. So he's able to kind of match whatever it is that Gorton does. He's so far got an answer to it, but has he got enough of an answer to overhaul him? That's going to be the question.
They have had that gap for the last race almost. Actually,
Yeah.
quite a few laps. When it has just been 1.1, 1.3, and just gone up and down there, and it's just like I don't think that Pinsker is really fast enough to really beat him. I think something needs a lapped car or something, that kind of a thing to really be here. I don't think he has the pace to do it.
Or is he waiting for the pit stop?
Yeah, he could be waiting
like
on the pit stop.
You wouldn't want to be this far away because you're at this point you're very close to losing the slipstream. I feel like you're not really going to be taking it easy unless you're within that second. If you're within that second, you can start lifting and coasting and taking it easy. But when you're at the 1.3, 1.4, not really where. I mean, James is now in the second window as they go through turn number 11, I think it is, on this version of the circuit, because we missed the old 11.
Oh, true, yeah.
Which means that this track is actually 13 corners, so superstitious of you out there might think that's the reason why people don't like it around here. So, yeah.
He's
but
well within the second, though. What, we go 4/10. That time
good
around.
lap for Pinsker and bad lap for Gorton.
Yeah, 38.6 for Gorton, 38.2 for Pinsker.
I just need to say that I don't think he has the pace, and then he puts up the pace.
Yep.
As you said, King, he's wiggling his big toe.
Yeah, wiggle the big toe a bit more. Oh,
Yeah.
that's another one in. Victor Matios has brought his forward in again.
Ooh, Holstein's
in. So he's... But then I think he pitted out of sequence from everybody else anyway.
Was in the first set.
So that's not really a surprise. But, I mean, Christoph would certainly want the top two to be fighting. Well, he want the top two to kind of fall off the road, really. I imagine Alex Bennett would want them to fall off the road. He's 12 seconds behind this particular gap now. But he's had a fairly steady race. He's only got a couple of instant points on the board. He's just very much in no man's land, isn't he?
Yeah, the same with Neumeier, who has gotten that gap as you were alluding to earlier, James, over Van Puten. So even though he need a couple of extra seconds in the pits next time due to a short of fuel, he has that in the bag now.
We've lost another. Gert Zommers seems to have disappeared. Seems to have just gone, unfortunately. I think he brought his car into the pits and then just...
Oh, no, he's had an incident. That was with Stefan Kamke going through, I think that's turn 3, yes. Well, actually, it started in turn 1. He
tried to go back far enough.
Very close to Michael Edens going through turn 1. Had to take evasive action, cut across turn 2, rejoined, and, Kamke lapped down, really... I mean, he was fighting with Manos, that's why he didn't really want to give up the place, but it's kind of a bit of a clumsy incident.
How far back was that?
Oh, that's quite
beginning of lap 35 for Sommers.
Yeah.
So a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for that. I won't try and find it on stream. That is a shame.
That looked clumsy as you were alluding to.
Yeah. Blair Mann and Reece Newland still pretty close together. Arjen Van Puten's not too far ahead of them. Oh, it's getting tense now. It's when this last pit stop is going to happen. I think it's going to
find a good section of clean air. He's got 5 seconds in front to Alex Schmidt, who's on the same lap, and 6 seconds to a lapped car, which means he should have a couple of goes of free running here, see what lap times he can do on the undercut, while all the people in that train well, which is now only 3-man, but Blairman and Van Poulsen and whatever hold each other up.
We will see.
It's the man train.
How long have you had that one for? Have you just thought of that?
It just came to me. I was like,
You came up with one last week. I've forgotten what it was now, and I gave you that line.
Yeah, sometimes they just, there. Well, we did, in the last week's race, we did have a creeper with the cojones.
Creeper with the cojones, yeah. That is true. Andy Gordon's responded. He's gone a couple of tenths quicker than James last time around. They won't be able to go to the end, will they?
No. They'll be coming in fairly shortish. Well, they're pitted on lap 20, so I would expect a lap 40 would make sense to be a pit lap. They do 220 lap stints, maybe 41 if they burned a bit too much fuel on the sort of pace around lap thing. You can't really call it a lap because it's not a lap, but it's just sort of a weird pace sector.
Yeah. Let's have a look at where our race leaders are. Philip Schiff has just brought his car into the pits as well. So Gorton still leads Pinsker by around about a second. And Alex Bennett rounds out the top 3 for the pro contingent. 12.5 seconds behind the top 2 as he's catching up to... I think that's... No, it's not Kern Van Eyck. That is going to...
Yardley.
Is it Yardley? Oh yeah, big flash of the lights there. Chris Yardley getting told in no uncertain terms, get out of the way. Our Pro-Am leader is Rick Van Dorn in 8th position. He's been for quite a while. Leads the Pro-Ams by quite a way. That is 13 seconds to the good. Dan Alpole in 13th position. The Am leader is actually ahead of him, which does happen on occasion. But Michael Mariani is just having an absolute stormer. Alex Smith in 3rd, 9.5 seconds back from Dan Alpole.
Alpole has actually been there just as long as Van Dorn has been in the lead. Quite a good race for him this week.
Very much so. Michael Mariani in 12th overall leads the AMs. Let's have a look. By 20-ish seconds. 30-ish seconds indeed from Raimo Cooley. And Raimo's had a fairly quiet race. Luca Dodato had some early problems, but has been turning the miles. Is the 3rd in the AM class. And Blair Man, Reese Noonan still very, very close. And Pinsker's responding again. He's beginning to close back in on Andy Gorton. Does not want to let the Tag Racing 185 forward get away from him. There doesn't seem to be any. Let's go on the nose cone of Andy Gorton. Can't see anyone. So there's no back markers in the way. So there's no accusation of traffic. They're going to be another. If they're going to go for lap 40, we are a couple of laps away from that. As you can see in the top left of the screen, we're currently coming to the end of lap 38. Assuming Andy's going to continue, which he does.
Do a lap more. Yeah, one more lap here.
And there is no back markers in sight, so traffic not playing a part in what's going on here. And yeah, Pinsker's definitely gained 38.4.
Pinsker really want to get that, P1 because that would be the triple for him. He won at Spa, and now he won last week as well. So
that'll be a fantastic achievement.
Oh, definitely.
We missed it in Spa, but Gorton put up a very robust defence against Pinsker when he had a brief momentary lead at the end of the second pit stop phases. So I doubt that if they are side by side at any point and Pinsker challenging for the lead, Gorton will give him any quarter.
Oh no, I'm expecting a full-on scrap there as Michael Perchheim has brought his car into the pits again. Question in chat, who's commentating? The description doesn't say. That's because I completely forgot to fill that bit in, didn't I? I'm King Kodiak. We have Nick Domino in the box. Here's that man. Here's our graphics god. And we also have James Clay, the one and only, in the box as well. Wow, that was a short stop from Michael Parchheim. Gerardo Duran has come in. So now we're starting to see the two stoppers with their second stop. Again, remember last time everyone came, well, vast majority of people came in an absolute flood. And Gorton has continued, as has Pinsker. And once again, that gap has gone up very, very slightly. Luca Lodato's in.
Very much ebb and flow. Gorton did a 3.66, whereas Pinsker did a 5.71 the last time around. Almost over a 2.10 advantage for Gorton.
Yeah, like you say, it's just nip and tuck between the two. But where is that going to filter out when it all comes to a head? Luca Lodato coming back on track.
Neumeyer in a bit. P4.
Michael Neumeyer.
As we pointed out in the first stop, he short-filled a little bit, about a second shorter, which probably is why he's pitting slightly earlier than everyone else around him.
Blairman and Reece Newland still very, very close together. The Ford has been nailed to the back of the BMW.
Neumeyer's taking tyres.
No.
Oh
my God,
he was on the jack, but it wasn't for long.
No, but I think that's just more fuel because he short-fueled last time.
Because his car went in onto the jacks.
Ooh.
That's tyres then.
Yeah, so he
But
may
be
be
30
taking
seconds, wouldn't
one end. Well, he may just be taking some tyre. Of the
could
entire
be.
set of tyres.
Well, that's even worse. If you only take,
Yes, that is a bad decision normally, yes, but it might have just been one that he's taken.
Oh yeah, or he has forgotten to take one of the tires.
Yeah, it might be one that he just missed the tick box on, and
that's easily done.
That's really bad. If you take there's something going in turn 5 in the lap car legs.
Reece Newland and Blair Mann have swapped round whilst we were discussing that, and our leaders have come in. Line astern once again. Oh, if Pinsker's got anything left in the tank, he needs to deploy it now. He really wants Gorton to overshoot his pit box. It's highly unlikely he's going to do it. If anything, he was actually braking too early.
I think he was very careful not to overshoot his pit box because he knows that would be essentially lead over.
Bennett's in.
And there goes Gorton, there goes Pinsker.
9.1 stationary for Andy, 9.3 stationary for James, but James was actually slightly quicker through the box. So yeah, I think he braked a bit too early. Rick Van Dorn's in. Blair Mann.
Van Booten is very close to overtaking Penske on pit exit.
Where is... Oh, there he is. Yeah, well, I mean, Arjun Van Booten has not gone through the pits again. Here we go. Stream of people. Van Dorn, Edens, Mariani, all coming into the pits again. Alpole. Where's Holst? He's already been through the pits, remember, so he's going to gain a few. He's going to be inside the top 10, and there's still 3 ahead of him that haven't pitted yet, so he's going to be in for potentially 6th position. Oh, has Neumeyer just had a problem?
Yes, he has. Going through turn 1. He just was in front of Blair Mann and then just spun all by himself.
Oh dear.
I don't think.
Oops! Yeah.
Very close to getting a loss of people, but somehow managed to avoid everybody there.
Well played.
He'll now be licking his lips because he sees another car that he could potentially take some points off.
Indeed. Skarky asking how Mr. Van Dorn is doing. Where is Rick Van Dorn? There he is, the Pro-Am leader. He's been through the pits for the second time. Leads the Pro-Am class over Dan Alpole by 10 seconds, near as damn it. So he's had a pretty quiet race. Well, it's a quiet race. He's on 14 instant points. So he's had some goings on.
He's had something in his rear, by the look, as we've already mentioned earlier as well, which is probably where he's got some of those incidents from.
Ooh. Wow, Pinsker and Gorton are very close. Pinsker, overall gained about 6/10 on Gorton last time around. Now that's, of course, that time is skewed because of the pit stop, but you cannot deny that Tepper Ford is really placing the pressure now on the tag racing leader. Oh, it's going to be interesting in the final stages of this race. We've got around about 7-ish to go, 11 minutes until the checkered flag falls, and it's still all to play for.
That spin that Neumeyer had has cost him quite a lot. He's now P7.
Yep.
You know,
with
and he has proven to be faster with than the guys in front of him. So that could be interesting as well.
Indeed. So he's now 4 seconds behind Blair Mann, who's still actually behind Reese Newland. So Reese in the closing stage of the race has timed his sort of attack properly. Holstein is in 8th position, 1.2 behind Neumeier, but may not be able to claim too much more as we have 10 minutes to go, just over 10 minutes to go, and there's a 4-second gap between Neumeier and Blair Mann. Andy Gorton's lost a little bit more time, I think. Oh no, actually Andy Gorton was a 10th quicker than James Pinsker last time around, but James is well under a second behind the lead car now, so Andy Gorton's going to have to work for it.
It has been, it's quite hard being out there, with Pinsker being, around a second plus, because you have, as the guy in front of you, you have to hit it every single lap time, every single corner.
Well, that's someone off.
That was Yachtle, just right in front of them going off. But, just being there every single time, while the guy behind can more react to it and, maybe take different lines, go a bit off throttle sometime, and, it's more relaxing being the guy who's chasing than the guy who's actually being chased.
It's much easier to be the hunter than the hunter.
Yeah. Oh, certainly. But I think that spin has put Andy Gorton off his rhythm a bit, because that's now half a second between the two Fords. The traffic could still well play a part in this, and we look forward from Andy Gorton.
And Star was pitting.
So I think he's the last person to not see the pit lane, and that's Dan Alpole in trouble. What has happened to Dan Alpole? That's down at turn 1. Overcooked it into the braking zone. Oh,
well
the
held.
tail. Oh, very well held.
No.
Not until the ice came along.
Yeah, it was looking good, but the ending, the finish needs a bit of work. I'll give you a 6 for that.
Yeah, that's true. And you're saying that she was the last one to pit.
Well,
I will say that there is one out there smiling and grinning.
Yeah, we're assuming he's not going to pit in again, but
he's now got his lap that he wanted.
Very true, but he's got no choice now. He's committed to it. Yeah, it's not. Oh, here we go. Andy Gorton's got a face full of traffic. That's Sarah Dove and Stephen Broomfield right ahead of him. Oh, that's going to shake up the lead, because again Pinsker is getting closer and closer.
The flashing of lights should be
That's the thing. Sometimes when you have compliant traffic, it's actually better when you're the leader car, because normally you're going around, you don't have slipstream, and the car behind's sort of using that and abusing that to stay with you. But when you've got lap cars that are nice and compliant, they can give you a bit of slipstream down this back straight, for example, help out your lap time, get out of the way, and then you're not really getting held up, as they appear to both be letting Gorton through. So Gorton will have a little bit of extra slipstream and not really much else.
But also the danger is, the lapped cars know there's one car there. It's whether they realise, as there was a bit of cone death going on there, is whether they realise there's a second one there. But they navigated that one pretty well. But Pinsker, that's the view from the nodes of the Tepper Ford.
Now you mentioned cone death. iRacing has the most dedicated people to put up cones.
They do have incredible marshals, don't
they? They are, just the best. Monaco, go home.
We talk about the flag marshal at Watkins.
Yeah, he's I'm a fan.
I'd have never guessed.
Yeah.
Now I wonder whether is that Gorton being defensive, or is that Gorton trying to defend a different line, because it didn't. It looked like. That's why I'm wondering whether he's feeling the need to defend.
Well, you're not going to be defending through that section. I think he just took a bit too much speed through turn 2, got very wide, and then it's just sort of compromised his line going through turn 3.
Oh, you've got 6 minutes. You've got about 5 laps ish to get that one done, James, or to defend it, Andy. So,
yeah, 4.5 essentially.
And
Broomfield is off.
Broomfield.
And that will put him up to 19 incidents as well.
Oh, just clipped by the merest margin. Clipped that sausage curb on the exit of turn 8. And whack. Off he went. Oh, what's going... Oh, something from Putin!
Oh my god.
Oh, that was it was just an isolated incident down at turn 5. He's gotten out of the way, which is, again, quite right. But that's dropped him right the way down to 8th position. So that's given Holstein 7th, and he's on the back of Neumeier for 6th.
Neumeier got very wayward as he was actually going through turn 5 as that incident was going on.
I thought Neumeier was actually getting out of Holstein's way there, but he's not. He's just resuming the racing line.
So King, you said Holstein would not be able to do much more, and
yeah, well, again, here we are. Much like your prediction of there wouldn't be much overtaking going on last week. Yeah, so so commentary box predictions, don't believe them, ladies and gentlemen. That is what you can learn from this. As we're in the closing stages, less than 5 minutes ago, Stephen Brumfield is actually in the. Oh, of course, he had that stop go penalty because he had 18, or had exceeded 18 incident points, so he had to serve a stop-go penalty.
He was so unlucky because pretty much one more lap and he'd be able to go to the end and not serve that and just have the penalty added to his race time. As he's just rejoined and taken out Holstein as they've gone through turn 1.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Holstein is going to be furious.
He is. Holstein went a long way into that gravel trap. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, clouted
I
that.
I wasn't the one that commentator cursed Holstein this week. You guys said that he wasn't going to have. You were debating whether he was going to have more to do this race.
Look at the amount of people now around him. I mean, he's down to 10th behind Michael Edens now, but there's a lot of lap traffic in that particular gaggle. Right behind him, Rick Van Dorn, Pro-Am leader. Directly ahead is the 242 Porsche. That is a back marker.
That's Marvin
Sluman.
I believe it is.
Getting out of the way. Oh my, I think I heard the detonation from Switzerland here in the UK.
You can see, if you can sense it, you can just see the smoke from...
It's like a mushroom cloud that's gone.
Yeah, it's just...
Oh dear. Is all we can say to that. I think the stewards are going to have a few things to deal with again. And Andy Gorton responding to Pinska's pressure once again, now beginning to open that gap back up to nearly a second. So Andy Gorton.
I'll just say, throughout all of this, Reece Newland has managed to make his way up to 4th position.
Yeah, he has. He was fighting with Blair Mann for a long time now, 2.5 seconds between himself and the Scotsman. So he's done brilliantly well. Neumeier, who has not had as strong a race as we've seen in the past, but a decent run nonetheless in 6th position.
Well, he for him, he will be really sad about this race, actually. His pace has been there, as he's going completely off track here. His pace has been there, but he has just made 2, mistakes this race that has really cost him positions, because he's been no man's land P4 for quite a while and then stopped, made a mistake. And it's just, this is a race of what could have been for Neumeier.
Indeed, as Andy Gorton crosses the line with 2 minutes to go. So this will be the penultimate lap of this race and opens that gap up by a mighty 200ths of a second. And for the OCD amongst you, Andy Gorton did a 1:38.777. So he automatically wins for doing things like that.
That's the Stevie.
That's
1 minute 40.000.
Oh, we have another winner.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was. I think it. Oh, I only have to check who that was. It was Holstein on lap 45. He did a 1 minute 40.000.
Holstein did it first, then. Yeah, it is the Stevie factor, that one.
That is the Stevie Award right there.
Oh, Perchheim! Sorry, as we were talking, I was watching Michael Perchheim. He's being caught by Alex Smith. He's just gone a little bit too deep. Once again, turn 10, claiming another victim. And Dan Alpol's gone through as well. Shame for Michael, but he continues on his way nonetheless.
Yardley is close to getting this done on a one-stopper.
Where is he? There he is, 21st.
21.
He's got to do one more lap after this.
Yeah.
And, well, fair play for trying it. But I don't think he'll be doing it again.
Well, you say that. This is not the first time he's done it.
Yeah.
That's true, actually.
I believe it was him that did it in Nürburgring last season.
Yeah.
Nutter.
And, the drivers, he had gained some positions by it, so...
Well, he's in 21st overall, which is fairly high up in the Pro-Ams. I can't see, but I think...
Let's have a quick look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7th. I take it all back.
He's
He's having to pit.
No.
Oh, Chris Yardley.
Commentator cursed him.
That was, James, that was on you. Placing that one firmly on you, but at least...
I said from the beginning that I didn't think he would make it.
I think that one is on mine. I was the optimist right there.
Yeah, I said he was never going to make it because I knew, because his first, albeit his first stint was 23 laps and his second stint was 24. But in order to get to the end, he needed 25 laps and the leads were just too fast.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That's such a shame for Cristiano. Well, I mean, at least he now can qualify lap it,
Well, he can't really do that because it's the final lap, so he's not going to get any lap time from it. So he can't even try and set his fastest lap and actually set a competitive lap time, unlike all the laps he's done before.
Very true. And James Pinsko, I think, has gone into bring it home mode as he's now 1.3 behind Andy Gorton as they are streaming down towards turn 10 for the final time. Bit of traffic ahead. That'll be Conor Ryan.
They've just been the class of the field. The gap to Alex Bennett is 24 seconds between him and Pinsker.
That's a stonking gap.
That's
absolutely
incredible.
huge. And Alex Bennett is no slouch.
So much this stint. And actually, that's because Bennett did a 1 minute 44 last lap, so he must have been going on there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because he was 13 seconds behind before the pit stop.
Oh no! Pinsker spun on the last corner. He's going to come over the line backwards. Love it. I love your finishing style. But your winner here in Catalunya is Andy Gorton. But over the line backwards is James Pinsker after
Has he
binning
gone
it.
over the line?
Yeah, he
Well,
has.
yeah, he has.
The way before, the line way before.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes they're not.
Alex Bennett is going to take the final podium spot for the pro class. Over the line he comes, which is... Well, it actually does look like James hasn't crossed the line, but he has done. He is classified as finished.
He's crossed the finish line, just not the start line. So he hasn't actually done 48 laps officially.
Reece Newland was, I think, was sort of starting to celebrate. Oh, there we go. That's now causing trouble with as Michael Neumeyer's had a great big spin there. Oh dear. So Michael Neumeyer 6th, Arjun Van Putten has crossed the line in 7th. Oh, there's the camera switching around. Alfie Lawrenson is this. Where's Alfie Lawrenson? Oh, there he is. So is he behind Michael Edens? I think he was. Yes.
Yeah.
So Michael Edens does take 8th, Alfie Lawrenson 9th, and Holstein, what might have been. He finishes in 10th position, but the Pro-Am win goes to Rick Van Dorn. The Am win goes to Michael Mariani before we even see anybody else from the Pro-Ams. And oh no, Raimo Cooley has spun. He hasn't crossed the line yet. Oh no, that's third, I think. No, the second in the AMs. Raimo Cooley has dropped it at turn 10. And
but I think the guys behind him have been lapped. So
he is the last running car then. So he had nothing to lose at least. But as one of these things, pushing as hard as he was to try and keep up. Binned it, but I love James Pinsker's finish. That's brilliant. Unless that was what he intended, and if that's what he intended, then even more kudos. So there we go.
If he was leading though.
Oh, if he lost the lead doing that. Oh dear, oh dear. So then, your results before Eddie Stewart's intervention are as such. Andy Gorton taking the win over James Pinsker. It says by 5.6 seconds, but that's only because of James's interesting method of finishing. Then it is Bennett, Newland, Mann, Neumeyer, Putin, Edens, Lawrenson, Holstein, Van Dorn taking the Pro-Am win, and Mariani taking the Am win. Schmidt, Alpol, Goodwin, Perchheim, Lutus, Ryan, Cooley, Dove, Lagney, Smith, Ladato, Yardley, Brumfield, Matios, Sluman, Boucher, Duran, Mamano, Cooper, Pontegorvi, Schiff, Van Eyck, Santo, Kamke. Well, these are the ones that didn't see the flag primarily. Zommers, Halliwell, Henstra, Nadlik, Martins, Pari, Woodford, Edward, and Paolo Martins not taking the start. Whew, my goodness me. Say that quite a bit at the end of our races, don't we? Or I mainly do. We have Mr. Kamke wanting to have a chat to us. So, jolly good. Let me just set up the usual post-race or driver interview music. Here we go. Let's drag him in. Returning to the league, it is Stefan Kamke.
Ouch. Hello.
Hello. Oh, wow, you're very quiet, by side. Let's turn you up a little bit. Hello. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How was your race from your side? Talk us through it.
That was shit.
We apologise for the language of our German friend here.
Now it was actually fine until the lapping happened. So new car, new tires for me. So I experienced a new tire model now the first time in race conditions. And it actually went okay. Wasn't particularly quick, but wasn't a complete slough either. And tires started wearing, and blue flag traffic started happening, and that's when I lost a bit my nerve. Some of the pro drivers were rather aggressive in signaling their intention to come through, and when you're in a section where it simply doesn't work, bumper to bumper swerving and flashing just forces mistakes. So luckily I didn't take anyone with me, but it forced my incident count to go way up.
I can imagine. So what about Catalunya? Is that a track you particularly like? Not everybody is a fan of this particular circuit. What's your thoughts?
Well, I sort of tend to not survive these, not by my own fault, so yeah, not my...
Well, what do we have looking? What's next on the calendar then, Mr. Dom?
Well, next time out, next week is our break week. And then after that we have Mid-Ohio, which is a new track for the league.
Oh, I don't know this one. What about you, Mr. Kamke? Do you know it?
Never been there.
Nice. Oh, this will be fun then. Well, good luck for the remainder of the season, and we look forward to chatting to you as always. I'm sure we will do so again before the season ends. Thank you very much, Stefan Kamke.
Good night.
Good night indeed. Right. Who should we have next? We have a couple of willing volunteers. Who should we have next, James?
Should we have the person who decided to reverse, though?
I'm sure so. Let's have a chat with Tepper's champion, James Pinsker.
Hello, Chris.
Now, we must address the elephant in the room first. Was the spin deliberate on the finish line?
No.
Sorry, the final corner. So the reversing was a recovery from the mistake.
Yeah, well, I'll talk you through it. So I've driven 49 laps. I've done a pretty much perfect race because I'm just chasing Andy the whole time. Then I've just been chilling, not really focusing like on the last lap because I've realised I'm not going to overtake Andy. Gone through the last corner and turned in, and the rear's just gone around. I've seen the wall and I've panicked, and I'm like, oh no, have I just thrown everything away? So instinct just kicks in, spam the shifts, get it in reverse, get it over the line. Totally, yeah, we'll call it for style points, I guess.
Well, it certainly was very stylistic of you. Goodness me. So, break week next week, Mid-Ohio after that. Thoughts?
A break week is going to be very
welcome
for me, I think. Because, yeah, I mean, just looking at how the season's gone, I've been putting in more effort into setup work, more effort into driving, and racing against people like Andy and Chris every week has a very high intensity to it. This race was very sweaty up until the last corner. So, yeah.
Any questions, gents?
Yeah. Do you think that a championship is now, in the horizon as breaking news? Our defending champ is definitely not gonna defend it, as he has just dropped out due to lack of motivation.
Okay. Honestly, it's not been something that I've really thought about. But as time ticks on, I've never really been in this position before. I've never been a front runner in this league. So as the races go by, every podium, every win that I get is something to think about. And I'll look at the standings after this race and I'll see what the gap is, and then I should probably start thinking about it.
Awesome stuff. Well, we look forward to how the season progresses for you, and I'm sure we will chat to you again. Thank you very much. James Pinsker, wrong James.
I'm not leaving the current just yet.
Oh dear. Thank you very much, James Pinsker.
It's been a long day, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. You have no idea. Oh, goodness me. You know what? I said to myself I would have to try and work on not doing that, and I made it this far before I did that.
I mean, my name rhyming with the Evans and having teammate in the F3 league with the same first name as me. I'm sorry for my name just being so awkward.
How dare you? Right, Mr. Dom, who should we have next?
How about Cooley up there?
Mr. Bennett. Let's have a chat then with Alex Bennett.
Oh, hey.
More of a lonely race for you in the latter half of that, it would seem. Talk us through it.
Yeah, pretty much every race this season, just driving by myself in no man's land. I try to get up into the top two on the first lap, but that didn't work. And in that case, I mean, there's just no way to keep up with the front two, so I was just driving around by myself for 8 minutes.
I mean, how do you kind of keep yourself going? How do you keep the focus, or is it just something that comes naturally to you, just to keep turning the miles and not essentially just throw in the towel and give up on it?
I mean, for the first stint, I had Neumeier pretty close to me. He was just sort of outside of my slipstream for most of the stint, so I had that to focus on, at least for the first 30 minutes. But after that, I mean, it was basically just driving on cruise control because, I mean, the position was secure as long as I didn't do anything stupid. So I just kind of backed off and cruised around, really.
I see. And Mid-Ohio next time out, how are you feeling for that one?
I haven't driven the track before, but I don't know, it looks interesting. I've seen it driven in the open wheel leagues in the past, a long time ago, but I think it'll be kind of tricky. It's definitely going to be a very hard track to overtake at. There's not really much in the way of straights there, but I don't know, I'm hoping that the Porsche will be reasonably competitive at that track, and maybe I can get up amongst the sort of proper front group.
We look forward to it. Thank you very much, and good luck for the remainder of the season, Alex Bennett.
Cheers.
That just leaves one more willing participant to have a chat to us, and that is Sarah Dove. Hello, Sarah. Didn't quite go as much your way this week as last. We saw you struggling a bit, particularly around turn 4, I think it was. What was going on with the Ford this week?
My brain. I messed up qualifying and got off tracks on couldn't invalidated laps, and then I couldn't get a good lap, and then that made me start way down than I should have. And then it was kind of okay in the first part, and then I went braking into turn 7. Is it the
small chicane?
And then the right bit, and then braking into there, and then as soon as I put the brakes on, I knew that I'd gone too far to the right, and then I slightly clipped the grass, and then I spun, and then that put me a lot of time down, and then I spun again. I can't remember where that was. And then I spun at turn 1 and did a really cool 360 to get going again. I went in sideways and then did a 360 and powered back out.
Wow, style point.
And then I spun again and that put me on 17x. So I was 1x away from getting a drive-through for like 40 minutes of the race.
Yeah, we did see that the instant count was a bit higher than we've seen in the last few races. But it just goes to show how tricky this particular track is, I feel.
Yeah, it's a difficult track, especially at night.
Any questions, gents?
One from me. Obviously, break week next week, going into mid-Ohio. Will next week be sort of taken as a week off? I know the Nordschleife 24 is right around the corner, so I don't know whether you'll be taking part in that. But or will it be taken to sort of focus on the weeks after?
I think hopefully I'll be doing the 24. I'm not actually sure what car. I think that Z4. But a bit of a break week. Just rest my ankle as well because it's almost healed, but not quite.
Progress at least, all steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
Well, good luck for the remainder of the season, and I'm sure we will chat to you again. Thank you very much, Saradav.
Thank you.
And that is going to bring an end to tonight's festivities. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. A great pleasure to have you on board with us. Thank you very much, James and Nick, for keeping me on the straight and narrow, and especially James, me trying to boot you out the commentary box inadvertently. It's a task you two handle well. Thank you very much for it.
No problem.
It's always difficult, but yeah, we do our best, and thank you for having us.
Pleasure is all mine. As mentioned, next week is a break week, so we will be back in 2 weeks' time for what's going to be quite a unique race, I suspect, is Mid-Ohio, but there's plenty of racing going on in between then and now, so do check back with us then. Until then, thank you very much, and good night!